absolutely ridiculous. They'll believe anything. They'll believe anything. Maybe. There's a question I keep asking myself. And in fact, I try to ask myself this question as often as I can. And I'm sure many people want to ask it to me as well. Am I crazy? Abby, what do you think? Am I crazy?
Not good to say. Maybe you are crazy,
Maybe
right?
I'm crazy, right?
Maybe I'm also crazy, so I couldn't identify you're crazy or not.
See, maybe we were both crazy, right?
Maybe.
Sure. But I think
Exactly.
you know me pretty well, and I think I know you pretty well. I don't think that we're crazy.
Just like I say, maybe we are all in the crazy situation
Possibly.
right now.
Good. So I think that what we can do today is I might have a way that we can test if we are crazy or not.
Okay.
Okay.
There's some tests.
Yeah.
Some
But-
question to answer, just to feeling.
Sure. But before we get to that, let's tell everybody what they need to do. So everybody, welcome back to the Mei Xiangfa channel. We've been off for a few weeks, so good to be back with you. And yeah, good to be back with you, Abby.
Yeah, it's great. Because of a Chinese New Year, so
Yeah.
we take a
Took
long
some time off.
Yeah, some time, but it's a
Right.
great time, right? So
So what do people need to do?
so 请记得帮我们按赞、分享，还有开启小铃铛，订
Yeah.
阅一下。
Take that finger, turn it around,
Yeah.
move it up and down, shake it left and right, and push that like, share, and subscribe button. Yes.
Okay.
Right. So let's get into this. Right, Abby. So
Right.
why do you think I asked you if I'm mad, or if you're mad, or crazy at least?
I always say, what's the point? What's the topic you think you are crazy? It makes you feel crazy, right?
Well, you know, I think a lot of people will resonate with this, but in the past, I used to watch the news, I read the papers, and I believed things. And over time, I started to see lies, I started to see things that weren't true. And now I find myself in the position where I don't always believe everything. But a lot of people are still in that. They still believe everything they see on CNN or in the news. And then I think they look at me now and they say, "Man, you've gone mad. You've lost your mind." But then every time you turn on the news, every time you see a newspaper, you see stuff that now you're not sure if you believe. And then you share information with people because you do some research. I love research. I read and find out stuff every day and I share it with people. And they haven't heard this before because all they've heard is the CNNs and the newspapers. And I see the looks in their eyes. They look at me like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah. They have another beliefs, right?
Yeah. So that's why I ask myself often, like, am I going crazy, right? And then the people I talk to, I ask them, I'm like, please tell me. Like, I'm showing you the evidence. I'm showing you the stuff that I read. Am I losing my mind? Because I want to know, right? I mean, like, I don't think that I have such a big ego that I can't be wrong or that someone couldn't mislead me.
You mean like even you see lots of facts and the datas, but if you wonder why those mainstream media like CNN or BBC, they still talk like another narratives. So you feel like, is there anything I missed?
Yeah, exactly. But I think I have to correct you, and we need to correct ourselves. We got to stop calling these people the mainstream media.
Oh,
Because
they are not.
They're not the
they don't have
mainstream.
power, right?
No, I mean, like Joe Rogan gets a lot more views than
Yes.
CNN and all of them combined. So they're just the establishment media, I think. Establishment. Yeah, they're established. People watch them. People believe them. But I don't think that most people are watching them. So I don't think we should call them mainstream. I think maybe that's hurting our cause by calling these people mainstream when they're not. So yes, I mean, this is the topic, right? I mean, as I said, I'm sure many people resonate with that, right? You've seen something that was on the news, or you've seen a lot of things, and you start to question it. And you talk to people, and they call you what? Far right?
They will give you a name.
Theorist.
They were
What else? All sorts of different words, right?
conspiracy, far right.
Yeah, an extremist. And I don't even think I'm on the right. I doubt you or I are on the right. I mean, I consider myself to be a classical liberal, believing in freedom and rights and those things. How is that? And
become a really far right, because far right is more like a Hitler, the Nazi
possibly, right?
era.
But I think these days anybody that just disagrees with CNN is called far right, which I think is going to actually shoot them in the foot in the long run, because now what does far right even mean? So many people are now far right that it's losing its power. You know, because it just doesn't mean anything anymore when you start calling everybody who disagrees with you far right. Well, then who cares, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we should make a far right flag and say, hey, we're all far right now. And what does it mean? Nobody knows.
Yeah, just like they change the meaning for many times. So even you say, what is left, what is right, what is in the middle?
Nobody knows anymore, right? Yeah.
Change so many times.
Sure. So anyway, but I mean, let's get back to this. So obviously, when we talk about this, people will know that the virus has got to come into this discussion, right? Because that's where there's been just so much of this, like conflicting news reports and conflicting information. And the one thing that's been a way for me to check if I am going crazy is the people that I see every day and every week. Because the stuff that I was saying to people before, like a year ago, they're not coming to me and saying, hey, you know what, that thing that you told me, now I see it in the news. So that's kind of one way, I think, where you can start checking, you know. I think
it takes some time. You will see back all of the conspiracy theories
become conspiracy fact now, yeah.
become facts.
Sure. It's like, you know the one, right? I mean, now a lot of people know that women's periods have changed. It's kind of common. You can talk about it. But if we go back a few months, and Abby and I had done a video about this, it would have been cancelled. I mean, we had that one video deleted, and then we looked through YouTube's rules, and there's almost nothing that you can say. And if we'd said that, automatically deleted, right? But now you can say it.
Now we can say it because I see too many examples or too many things.
It's just not able to be hidden, right? The truth
it's
eventually
not easy
comes
to hidden,
out.
right? Yeah.
So, but my question would be, though, why were people stopping that from being heard in the first place? That's a very, very interesting discussion. I have no idea why, right? I mean, why hide it? Doesn't make sense, right? And that's just, you know, one example. So I wanted to show people, and I wanted to show you as well. So this is just an article that I've seen recently. And you can see there's COVID conspiracy theories have now magically become fact-checked mainstream narrative. And they go through a lot of these different examples, right?
Fact check.
Yeah. So a good example of this is this one woman, Leanna Wen. She's often on CNN. And a lot of the things that she was saying before are now completely changed. And
You mean her attitude?
all the things that she was recommending to people. I mean, I'll show you some of her tweets in a minute, but I understand that over time science can change, right? I mean, people can be wrong, but I'm sure you've seen, like recently, they just went, all of a sudden they just flipped, and all of a sudden so many places are saying now they want to just completely change. I mean, like, I would have thought that the mandates, even though I don't like them, would have gradually gone as things change, but it didn't happen gradually. It was just like going completely
all of a sudden
180, which seems really strange. Like science just changed like that. Seems a little bit strange, right? So if we have a look, I'll show you some of her tweets here. You know, it can be both true, okay, that COVID-19 causes illness and harm, and also that its continued prioritization to the exclusion of other issues does too. So that means COVID can cause illness and harm, but if you keep prioritizing it, it can also cause illness and harm.
What is a prioritization?
Like a priority, making it a priority. All right?
Oh, it would cause other issues, right?
Yeah, and it can both be true that masks reduce respiratory infections, and also they have unintended harms. All right? So now they're admitting that masks can help, but also harm people. Again, you couldn't talk about this just a few months ago, right? And you can see it here. We must have an honest conversation about masking in schools. Two things can be true at once. Masks work to reduce transmission, and they could cause harm to kids, especially young learners. There needs to be an ongoing risk-benefit analysis, as there is for any intervention.
No, they say the mask may cause harm for the kids.
So we've been talking about this for a long time. But we couldn't actually talk about it on the YouTube channel because if you did, the videos just get deleted. And once you've had 2 videos deleted, you can never monetize. You get punished in a lot of ways. And in this video here that I watched, I'm not going to play it now, but you know, she kind of talks about personal responsibility, that people should choose. She actually said that masks are not just there to avoid making others sick. They also give you some protection. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But she's now talking about, personal responsibility. Like, you make the choice for you, which is what we've been asking for all along.
They have the responsibility for their choice. So,
Yeah.
yes.
So isn't it strange, right, that all these things that we couldn't talk about, now we can talk about. Why? Because they were said on CNN.
Oh, because all the narratives on CNN.
Yeah.
And this woman is on
Leanna Wen, yeah.
She's a doctor.
She's a doctor. Yeah, I think she was the health commissioner in Baltimore, Maryland before as well. But she seems to change all the time. And then the guy who wrote this article makes a good point. He's like, she said that, we do need to have an honest conversation. But then he says, but the question is, why are we having it now? And why weren't we allowed to just weeks ago? And then he says, in fact, where the fuck was this woman 6 months ago? I 100% agree with that. Where was she saying this 6 months ago? Even just allowing people to question it 6 months ago. And this is just the tip, Abby. Okay. This is just the first start, because there are so many things that they're now talking about. Like, one is the numbers of people in hospital. Are they there with COVID or for COVID? You couldn't talk about that before, because there were so many people. They were just pushing the numbers of people in hospital. But it's like someone broke their leg, went to the hospital, and they tested them, and they tested positive, and now they got included in the numbers. Now the people on CNN are talking about it and saying, oh, no, that person's there with COVID, not for. But why now?
You mean, they tried to block all the messages before, but right now they want to... I think it's because CNN want to try to change their attitude.
Well, which party in America would you say CNN kind of is aligned with?
Aligned with?
Yeah, which party? Does CNN like Republicans or like Democrats? It's a trick question, right? And what's coming up soon? Probably some votes, right?
All right.
And Biden's approval number I saw today is now
really
lower than
Vice
what
President.
Trump. So Trump, because of a lot of bad press for this first year, his approval rating went really down and then started coming back. Biden's started really high. It's just gone down. It's now worse than what Trump's was because of inflation and all these other problems.
Yeah.
So they've got their midterms coming up. And now magically, you could talk about all these things,
You mean
right?
like before the CNN tried to connect it with some politician or some party, and they feel, oh, I'm under their protection. I'm kind of powers, how to say, the benefits is intertwined.
Intertwined. Yes,
Intertwined. So now they try to... maybe they try to cut it off and to
Well, I think
something.
they've also seen that there are just some people who are never going to get this vaccine, right? And there's some people who are never going to support this. And I think that number has been growing. And now they're worried about elections. So magically, when elections come, do you know what it happens?
Oh.
Science changes. Because science and politics are definitely connected.
Yeah, I think it's about election.
Yeah. Possible. I'm not 100% sure it's about the elections there, because there might be some other kind of motivations, but I think it's definitely part of it.
It's some election in United States recently.
It's coming this year, the midterms.
In
so
the
like
midterms.
halfway through, they have their elections, right? So I mean, like, if the Democrats lose the Senate and the House, they'll have the presidency, but they won't have the House or the Senate. They won't really be able to do anything.
That's true.
So strange. So I mean, that's some. So it's with COVID and for COVID. Whether or not COVID was from a lab or natural, you couldn't talk about that. Now you can. Now it's like that. In America, they talked about the cloth masks before, saying no, those are effective. Now they agree they're not effective. Vaccine harms. Now you can kind of talk about some of the vaccine harms, but you couldn't before. So it's just like this long list of things that we weren't allowed to talk about, that we were told we were conspiracy theorists just for thinking these things. But now, hey, now you can talk about it. Now it's on CNN. Now it's cool. So again, were we mad before? Because now they're agreeing with us a year later.
That we become more like no more.
Or maybe they're just catching up, right?
I think it's like all of a sudden the things like flips so quick. All of a sudden, before just like you couldn't talk about this. If you say so, you are like a minority.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, the flip. Oh,
Sure.
now everyone is allowed to talk about. I think even in Taiwan is as well. Like,
Same thing, yes.
Like before, all the narratives, what I see on the Google, on the news, it's all the doctors talking about how good the vaccine is, how good is that. And I can hear some different voice, like but it's a more independent media,
Yeah.
like a podcast or some YouTube or some people.
Well, that's
posting.
becoming the mainstream media now, right? Because I think people don't trust these guys anymore. Now I'm not saying they're trusting us, but some podcasts, right? We're still too small, but I think definitely people are trusting podcasts, right? Because you have a long form kind of conversation, and I think if people can see that you're being authentic because you don't have another motive. Like, what motive can we possibly have for trying to share information, right? We're not making money from this channel. The only motivation we have is saying, hey, listen, we're seeing information and we want to share it to help people. That's not helping us. I mean, maybe one day we'll make money from doing this, but like right now, no. The only way
share
we'll
information.
How will we make money from this channel one day? Is if people trust us, right? If people see, hey, what you guys said actually was true, and you guys were doing it with the right reasons, then people will start believing us and listening to us, and we'll grow our followers, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to do it by lying. But I wonder about these establishment media. You know, what is their motivation, and why are they so connected to the political parties?
I think they are the voice for the politics.
Sure. And I left one out for you. The other one that they're also talking about, and you can see it here, natural immunity. Okay, now, all of a sudden, now you can talk about natural immunity. Even Bill Gates came out and said that the natural immunity is helping to stop this thing now. Although he said another pandemic's coming.
I think I also remember I see some news in, I don't know, maybe in European or in some, I don't know, maybe left media. They start talk about, the nature immunity probably better than vaccine.
Sure, but you know what? The first time I saw a study like that was one out of Israel, and that was over a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, over a year ago, this was out there. We were discussing it privately, but we weren't allowed to share it with people. Now it turns out that it's true. So maybe we should have been allowed to talk about it, right? And again, the big elephant in the room, the question here is why? Why weren't we allowed to? Why? It's not just one thing. If it was one example, I'd say, hey, look, okay, maybe there was a reason. But this long list of things that you just couldn't talk about, why?
Just when we go back at the time, if we see something like the narrative so different from others, should we just say that is the wrong opinion, or just like a false misinformation?
Yeah.
How can we judge that is the misinformation? Because when times go back, after 1 year, 2 years, you go back and see, no, that's not the false. That's truth. So I mean, in the future, if same thing happens again, how can we judge or we identify this is true or not?
Sure.
Or just we let all the opinion just discuss on the internet?
Sure. And like for somebody like me, and you I suppose as well, who used to, I'm not saying I know this about you, but I know it about me, like I used to believe more. After all of this, do you think I'm going to believe that establishment media more or less? Must be less, right? And I'm sure a lot of other people feel that same way because they're also seeing this now. So what have these guys done? It's not just what they've done with COVID, but they've also reduced the trust that the people have with what the government says, with what the media says. So I don't get what the point of doing it is if you're just going to get less and less people to trust you. That's why CNN's ratings are down like 90% because no one trusts anything they say. Because they just lie all
it's
the
really
time.
hard to get back at the people's trust because one time you let them down. It will doubt you for everything. They need more time, more effort to bring out the truth. The faith or the beliefs from other people.
Sure. And talking about natural immunity, Fauci was talking about natural immunity with people in his emails in March 2020. Here, you can have a look. This is one of Fauci's emails. And the person said, is a person likely to be immune once they caught the coronavirus once? Do we know anything about this? And he said, no evidence in this, but you would assume that there would be substantial immunity post-infection. It is an RNA virus, and so you can expect mutations, but not sure how much is going on. We will have to check. That's March 2020. That's at the beginning of
Is
this
it
thing.
beginning? Mm-hmm.
How come if he was already being asked questions, they didn't start dealing with this earlier? Why is it now, like in 2022, 2 years later, we're only hearing? And on that, I have another fantastic question. There are some medicines, I don't know if we're allowed to say the names now, right? That were in
The
question. Yeah, like something Mectin, right? And my question is, it's a very old medicine. And whenever people ask questions about this, they say, we don't have enough data, right? That's what they said. They said, does it work?
No,
Doesn't it
they
work?
said using the horse.
Well, they used
the
horse
animal.
medicine, but the logic behind it, they kept saying was there isn't enough data. Even though some people said there was, that's what the story was.
Yeah.
But that's not my question. My question was, the vaccines are new, Pfizer's new drug is new, Merck's new drug is new, and they're being used. How are they being used? They did studies. So they did studies on new vaccines and new medicines, and those are already finished. But the something Mectin ones, they never did a study on an old medicine. It took so long to do a study of an old medicine, but much shorter time to do studies of new medicines. How does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just shows that nobody wanted to spend the money or just do the studies for some reason. I'm not saying what that reason is, but why not do it?
If you think about all about things of money, it's something you can figure out because they couldn't earn money from the old drugs.
Possibly, but I don't think you and I can say exactly why. So YouTube, we're not saying why. We're just guessing. Isn't it ridiculous that we have to say that, right? Like I hear you say something and we have to say to YouTube, hey, we're not making this our opinion. We're not allowed to have opinions unless we say the right thing, right? The 1984 thing.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous.
It's so hard. Like you don't know how to talk right
Sure.
now. So
I wanted to show you one other thing, but I'm going to ask you a question first.
okay.
Omicron. Who discovered it? Remember we did the Omicron, we did the video. Who found Omicron first? Where was it?
You mean the name of it?
No,
or
where
just
was that variant?
South Africa?
It was in South Africa, right? Do you remember the woman who did it?
The woman?
What is her name? I think her name was Kutsia or something, but I wanted to show you something. This woman, that is her here, right? Yeah, Angelique Kutsia.
Discovered Omicron.
Check out this. She says that she was pressured by European governments not to reveal that it was mild. They were telling her, don't say that this is a mild sickness. Why would they pressure someone to not say that it's mild, to try and tell people it's more serious? She said, and to say that it is a serious illness. Why would they pressure her to lie and say it's more serious than it is? Explain that. I can't. Unless somebody wants people to believe it's more serious than it is, or they didn't want it to stop, they wanted to keep this thing going.
No, just think about when after the media say, oh, Omicron is like very serious disease. No, very serious variation. So after that, after the message, just see how the governments do, what the governments do. They try to continue the restrictions.
Yeah, I think that's you're saying exactly the right thing. They wanted to keep the restrictions. They wanted to keep this whole issue going. And now there was hope. They were trying to say to it, don't show people that hope. Like, make it sound more serious than it is. And again, it's the same question. Why? So, I don't know, man. To be honest, I'm pretty pissed off with this. Like, I asked you the question, am I mad? It was just for the video, right? I don't think I'm mad because I ask it all the time. I check. I ask anybody who researches, I ask people like you and everyone else I know, look at this information. Look at what I'm seeing. Look what I said a year ago and look now what's coming out. I don't feel that I'm losing my mind. And if that's true and I'm not, why? Why can't I talk about this? Why do I get silenced? Why does YouTube and everyone else tell me what I'm allowed to say, what I'm not allowed to say? And then they're just allowed to change the rules and say what is allowed to be said.
Yeah, I think like this platform, they need to make money, right? So like probably some I don't know who it is, but just maybe behind YouTube. So so they have some pressure from the narratives, the direction. But we just don't know what is the reason or purpose behind that.
Sure. So I wanted to finish this segment by showing you a quick video.
Okay.
It's kind of a hopeful video because we just talked about the fact that they're now going to hopefully let kids not wear masks in schools because, you know, that's what that Leanna Wen was saying. We need to like let people choose. And there's a really heartwarming video. When I saw this video, I actually had a little bit of a cry when I first saw it. So I want to show you. This is kids being told that they don't need to wear masks anymore.
Is it kindergarten?
I think so. Look at them. Watch them though.
Starting tomorrow, we don't have to wear masks anymore.
Oh, really? Really like it?
But check how they freak out. Right? Like they're losing their shit, right? They're losing their minds. They're so happy. They're dancing and throwing stuff around, and just because they don't have to wear masks, right? Oh, look at YouTube suggested.
But I think it is so different. I have to say, it's so different from Taiwan.
What do you mean?
Because you have a Taiwanese kids,
Oh,
when
yes,
you tell them you don't have to wear a mask, they will doubt it. Should I?
Yeah.
Maybe I should put the mask back. It feels unsafe.
Yeah, it's actually really crazy how much masks have kind of been ingrained into the culture here in Taiwan. You know, I remember when I first came to Taiwan, like we used to laugh because like I'd never in my life in South Africa seen anybody wearing a mask in my life. And then you come here, it's like everyone's a doctor, you know, running around. So it was really bizarre. But
Oh,
yes. And you kind of get used to it with time, right? So, right. So should we end this one? Are you mad, Abby? Are you?
That we are crazy at the time.
I don't think we're crazy, right? And if we're not crazy, which means we got to keep asking that question, why? And I have no idea.
Keep asking questions. That's a good,
why?
good suggestion.
Why? Everyone, if you watch this video, ask yourself that question. Why can we not say certain things? And then all of a sudden, we can say them again. Why? Right, let's move to the next segment.
Okay.